sounded interesting, and I thought we could read them together. Okay, let's get started. This first story I found is by Nom 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 Nation. It's called I Think I Need to Bury My Husband. He's alive. 4 years ago, my sister Daisy went missing. A week ago, my husband slipped into a coma. I didn't realize how connected these events were until recently. Daisy lived with us for complicated family reasons. She was 19 when she didn't come home one day. There isn't an exact moment I can pinpoint the grief starting, because there isn't an exact moment that I realized she wasn't coming home. It was a gradual realization over the course of 2 days, mainly because it wasn't like her to be out all night. I always used to blame myself, convincing myself that if I had noticed sooner, we might have found her. About a year ago, my husband and I were getting ready to move to our new home. We fell in love with it immediately when seeing pictures online, and that love only got further cemented during our viewing. The place was as huge as it looked. We thought moving here would be the best decision of our lives, although in the back of my mind, I worried that we were secretly running away from our feeling of grief, leaving Daisy behind. My husband simply said, "What if we're running with her?" I never entirely understood it, but it brought me comfort at the same time. The move went smoothly, and we helped the previous owner move out too. He was an elderly man with no family, so we felt it would be polite to help out. Before leaving, I can remember the words he spoke so vividly. "You think you want a big home, but the responsibilities get too much." We both seemed to feel happier after moving, and it even allowed us to explore new hobbies. One of the first things my husband did was set up beautiful flower beds outside. I had never known him to have such a green thumb in the past, but he seemed to really enjoy it. The outside of our home became full of life, as did the inside of my mind. For the first time in a while, I was happy. I always told him how proud of him I was. Every week, he'd buy the same huge bag of cat food, not for a cat. We didn't even have one. Apparently, it's just the best fertilizer. It made me laugh. It sounded ridiculous, but something must have worked. Those flowers bloomed all year round. Wow, I did not know that. Last week, I lost him without losing him. I woke up without him in my arms and went straight downstairs to find him. I found him unconscious on the kitchen floor with blood coming from his lower leg. I don't know how long he was there, but the blame set in once again. If I had found him sooner, would he have been okay? I called an ambulance right away, but he never regained consciousness. The doctors aren't sure he ever will. When I found him, he was lying next to the well. The previous owner told us he discovered the well whilst having work done on the flooring. He decided to incorporate it into the design, making it level with the floor and giving it a tempered glass top. It dates back to the 1800s when this building was first constructed as a pub. My husband found it so interesting, always being sure to show it off for any kind of visitors we had. I always just found it creepy. We don't even know how deep it goes. The bottom is never visible. Last week was my first night alone without my husband in years. I thought I wouldn't get any sleep, but maybe the exhaustion caught up to me. I fell asleep instantly upon touching the soft blankets. I remember so vividly dreaming of Daisy. That is when the thunder began. I woke up in the night to a booming crash. Thunder soothing and helped me gently get back to sleep. The next morning, I walked back to the hospital to see my husband. The ground was dry and warm. There was no evidence of the storm I had heard loudly visiting the neighborhood on the night prior. I didn't take this as a clue at the time. It just wasn't my biggest concern. Going to see him felt similar to looking for Daisy. With her, we could go out every day physically searching for her in places she might be. Now, instead I wait next to my husband, hoping, wishing for him to come back to me. The next night, the thunder came back, louder and longer this time. I didn't get the satisfaction of drifting to sleep before it began. It was whilst I lay there, eyes open, and at that I realized there was no light, not a single flash from any kind of lightning. Those bedroom windows remained dark as a void. I decided to check the weather. Cold, slightly cloudy. This cycle repeated. I felt like I was going insane. Like clockwork, every night, the same cycle, the same cycle, the same cycle. It got stronger with each night. I spoke to neighbors, doctors at the hospital, friends on the phone. I'd always bring the thunder up in conversation. None of them had heard any thunder. I could not wrap my head around how I was alone in this. Yesterday, my mind seemed to decide that it was time to be active around the house again. I cleaned the dishes that were piling up, emptied the bins, and decided I should tend to my husband's flowers. I was surprised that they weren't wilting already. It gave me a funny feeling that he was still around, taking care of them whenever I wasn't looking. I got emotional as I looked down at them. I wasn't even sure how he applied the cat fertilizer. I'd never really seen him do it. I wanted to smell them first. They always had such a strong and beautiful scent. Yes, yet this time, nothing. No beautiful smell, just nothing. Was my sadness running so deep that I had forgotten how to experience beauty? I extended a hand to touch one. Plastic. I touched another and felt the same thing. All of them were plastic. Every single last one, even the daisies, planted in memory of my sister. His hobby had been a lie. I was almost angry, but all that emotion came out as tears as I settled for feeling empty. Why had he lied? That night is when things took a turn. The thunder was at its loudest. I could hardly hear my own thoughts. I knew that there was no chance of sleep. I decided to get a glass of water, a decision that changed everything. As I stepped down each step, the noise seemed to somehow get louder. Step, boom, step, boom, step, boom. I stepped into the kitchen and the noise stopped. I didn't stop, bracing for the next crash to cut through the silence. Yet the silence remained. Relieved, I flicked the light switch, only to be met with more darkness. The bulb was busted. Fantastic. But at least the noise had stopped. I made my way through the kitchen. The cold feeling of the glass at my feet confirmed that I was walking over the well. I shivered, but not because of the temperature. As my feet made their way back onto the tiles, they hit something far too early. A tile seemed to be broken or out of place, I couldn't tell. And whilst I could get a glass of water in the darkness, I could not deduce this foreign feeling without the light. So I went to get the spare bulbs and down in the basement. Truth be told, I hadn't been down there since we moved to the house. I never liked the spooky atmosphere. But I had to face that fear, and thankfully, the basement was nice and bright. Regardless, I had no plans to be boxes and boxes of them, none of them mine, and to my knowledge, my husband never wore perfume. Curiously, I sprayed one in the air and smelled it. I was instantly transported to the flower beds. This bottle smelled exactly like the ones outside our front door. So I grabbed another bottle. This one smelled like the ones near our kitchen window. I grabbed another. This one smelled of daisies. I began to piece together what was going on, and I didn't understand why. Against my instinct, I decided to look around the basement a little more. I discovered a wooden box with a label, The Well Diaries. It was locked. Next to it was a collection of framed photos. Each of them contained different people standing at the well. The earliest dated to 1910, and the latest, well, was of my husband, by himself. I had no idea this photo existed. Who took it? My husband had been lying to me about the flowers, but it seemed like he may have been lying about more too. I realized at this moment that the previous owner had lied. The old man claimed he found the well. These photos showed otherwise. It was never covered up to begin with. I also found an MP3 player with only one song, Daisy Bell. The one that goes, Daisy, Daisy, give me your answer too. My sisters had always had that as her ringtone. The final thing that creeped me out too much. It was a calendar. My husband had marked off every single day, of course stopping the day he fell into his coma. There was a note attached. Feed her every day at 7 a.m. I turned around and headed back for the kitchen. This was all too much to handle. I just wanted to get a glass of water and get back into bed. Maybe in the morning I'd have a clear head and be able to draw some rational conclusions. I went to replace the bulb. Yet, in my confusion, I had forgotten to turn off the light, as the new bulb immediately turned on as I screwed it on. As I screwed it, the almost blinding brightness wasn't what startled me. It was the face I could now see under the glass of the well, staring at me. It was still only barely visible, but I could clearly see two eyes and an outstretched mouth. At first, I was too shocked to notice one of the kitchen tiles open, like a trap door, directly next to the well. It seemed to hide a small chute covered in cat food, leading into the well. I was staring at the creature in fear, yet something stuck out to me. It had Daisy's eyes. The rest of it looked nothing like her. Gray skin, bony shoulders, balding head. But the eyes, they were unmistakably hers. I hit the glass with one of its hands. It hit the glass with one of its hands. The noise like thunder, as it echoed throughout the house. I only snapped out my frozen state when I saw two fingers slowly making their way out of the chute, as the face continued to stare right through me. I ran faster than I ever have in my life. I ran, and when I couldn't run anymore, I ran anyway. I didn't have any specific direction in mind, but perhaps instinctively, I ended up at the hospital. I sat with my husband, still shaking. I do not plan to go back to the house. It's not safe there. I stared at my husband, trying to calm myself down, trying to think of happier times, trying anything to just forget about what had just happened. Instead, I found something that almost made my heart stop. Around his shin, there was a wound that had been. Where the wound had been, his skin was slightly gray. Whoa. Perhaps I'm being paranoid, but given what I've seen, I think I have every right to be. My sister has become whatever the fuck she is now, and I think my husband is going to suffer the same fate. I need to bury him, right? I mean, that seems to be the entire point of the well. To contain whatever these things are. Clearly, they can't be allowed out. this one will be our last one. I only have enough time to read two, but the story is also medium long. The other one was a little longer, but yeah. This is also in the Scary Stories forum and posted by Small Cable 744849. Oh wait, no, it was just posted 49 minutes ago. Forget the 49 at the end. The Woman on the Road is what it's called. The clock read 2:03 a.m. As I drove down the deserted road, the only illumination coming from the dim headlights of my car. The air was still and quiet, with no sounds except for the low hum of the engine and the occasional rustling of leaves in the wind. My mind was foggy, and my head throbbed painfully from the effects of the numerous drinking games we had played throughout the night with my friends. The inside of the car was stuffy and warm, and I could feel the sweat gathering on my forehead. I knew I needed something to help with the headache that was slowly taking over, so I reached for the glove box in the desperate attempt to find any medication I could get my hands on. I rummaged through the cluttered contents of the glove box, my fingers blindly searching through the mess, but to no avail. I cursed under my breath, frustrated that I couldn't find anything to relieve my pain. With a heavy sigh, I resigned myself to the fact that I had to power through the headache and continue driving, hoping that I would reach home safely. As I drove down the winding road, my headlights caught a glimpse of movement on the side of the road. Intrigued, I slowed down and steered closer to investigate. That's when I saw her, a woman standing by the edge of the road, her silhouette illuminated by the dim glow of the street light. Her clothes were torn and ragged, and her face looked tired and worn. I said, my voice laced with suspicion and confusion. I couldn't help but wonder what she was doing here alone in the middle of the night and in such a disheveled state. As I pulled over, my headlights now fully trained on her, she turned to face me with an expression of surprise and relief. I could see now that she was indeed in her 40s, with lines etched deeply into her face, and her hair was a wild mess. Her coat was too thin for the cold night air, and her shoes too worn and scuffed. Despite her bedraggled appearance, there was a spark of hope in her eyes as she stepped closer. I could feel the tension in the air as I rolled down the window, unsure of what to expect. "How's it going?" I said, trying to cover the slur in my words. The woman's voice was desperate as she told me my car broke down 2 miles back. I could use a ride. However, as I looked down, I began to feel doubtful about her story, since I hadn't seen any car in need of assistance on the road while driving. Given my hangover, I dismissed it as a false perception and didn't dwell on it. "Where are you headed?" "Just to the motel down the street." Though I hesitated at first, I decided to let her in. The thought of leaving someone stranded on the side of the road was too much for my conscience to bear. I opened my car door and she quickly sat in the passenger seat. Immediately, I was hit with a horrible stench, like a rotting animal, causing me to roll down the window to alleviate the smell. As I resumed driving, I couldn't help but feel the tension in the air, making every passing moment feel longer and more uncomfortable. To ease the tension, I said, "How long have you been on the road?" To my surprise, she didn't respond. I glanced over at her and noticed that she was staring blankly out the window, her eyes fixed on the passing scenery. I repeated my question, but still she remained silent, and her unresponsiveness only added to the growing sense of unease that I felt. Though uncomfortable, I continued driving. 7 minutes passed, and she still hadn't said a word, just stared out the window. I could see a motel about 4 miles down the road. asked her, hoping for a response. Is it right there? Her voice was shaky as she responded with a yes. I glanced over at her once more and was surprised to find her staring directly into my eyes. Shocked, I quickly looked away. I was at the peak of my unease at this point. I could hear the sound of metal coming from her direction. I quickly turned my head to look over at her, and to much to my surprise, I could see that she was holding a pocket knife. I immediately stopped the car and tried to get out, but I forgot to unlock the door. I knew what was about to happen. She yelled while I simultaneously, I cannot say that word, simultaneously slashed the base of my neck. Pain shot through my body as I desperately tried to defend myself from the sudden attack. As I struggled to keep control of the car, I could feel the warm blood trickling down my neck. The woman continued her assault, her eyes filled with a wild, frenzied look. Despite my efforts to fight back, the pain and blood loss were too much, and soon